Welcome back to another edition of Faces of the Game. I'm Michael Colander here at Clubhouse Working Golf, and we're with Kristine Franklin. Chris, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Talk us through kind of your year in golf. You won Senior Player of the Year again. You won some big tournaments for the CGA again. So big year for you on the golf course. What was kind of your memory coming back from 2025?
I would say that winning the match play, which a lot of players come from out of state, so that's a good win. Also playing the stroke play, also a great win. It's fun to play, but when you're playing against your friends, that makes it a little difficult. Yeah. We do have a great time out there, but I enjoyed that. Also some qualified for the Senior Women's U.S. Open. That's always just a real treat to get to go play. I didn't play as well as I'd wanted at the event, but that's all right. And then the qualifying for the Senior Am, I had to leave as a friend had passed. So that was a little disappointing, but okay. So I got to play in a lot of events that, tested my game and did all right.
Talk us through the difference between you talk about the CGA match play or stroke play, and then the U.S. Senior Women's Open. Talk us through the difference between kind of a state level event and then a national level event.
I would say it's the driving range. You get Pro Vs. You get the X maybe. You get your name out there.
Yeah.
Definitely a different experience, a different vibe. You have to, prepare yourself emotionally for the one. I've obviously had more experience with having a CGA event rather than USGA events. But yeah, I think you prepare mentally for it. And, the more I play in the USGA, the bigger events, the little more confidence I get. So I'm really looking forward to 2026.
Yeah. Talking about preparation, what is the difference of how you prepare for match play versus stroke play?
I don't know that it's a big difference for me, just trying to get my game in shape, just the touch, chipping and putting, and hopefully, my long game is there. For match play, I guess it's really just, the dynamics of knowing, okay, your player or your opponent might be out of the hole, but never count that. Yeah. So I think it's just more mentally preparing that, hey, try and play the course, but also be aware of what's going on with them. Yep. So you got a little more dynamics going on.
What does it take to go back to back as the Women's Senior Player of the Year?
It's always a real honor to get that because it's not just playing, it's also, your I don't know, how they look at you as a person out there and carry yourself. So that to me almost, makes me feel more proud and stuff like that. But going back to back, it's, the more you think about it, it starts to get in your head.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'd rather not think about it year to year. But no, it's a true honor. I appreciate it.
You've had a lot of, accolades, a lot of accomplishments on the golf course. What still gives you goosebumps when you look back at kind of what you've done on the course?
I would say probably just starting to play again. Sorry.
Yeah. No.
My dad had passed away when I had started to pick up the game again as an amateur, and I really wanted to bring home a trophy to him. And the first one was the CGA match play. I lost in extra holes, and that was all right. And then was able to win the stroke play and bring him a trophy. It was, they'll always be your parents. Yeah. I felt like a kid again. Hey, Dad, Yeah. So now to be able to continue playing and you make goals for yourself. And for me, it's always been not who to beat, but it's to beat myself in how I approach things and can I do this and setting goals and not too much expectations. But that's probably what it is coming back was being able to do something for my dad. Yeah. And now just something for myself. Yeah.
Well, and golf's one of those things, right? It's not a team sport, but there are so many people in your corner that you have to have when you're playing at a level like a professional level or just even at a competitive level, that it is a team sport, and there are so many people that go into it, swing coaches, and golf is not an individual sport. It's an individual sport on the course, but I don't think people realize how much actually goes into it.
Well, I have to tell you something that's so funny. So when I first came back into play, and it's been like 23 years when I first came back as an amateur, and so I had qualified for the senior amateur, and I think I was like in third place after the first round. And I started getting all these texts saying, "Hey, great job, Chris, great job." And I'm like, so I asked my husband, I'm like, "How do they even know this?" And he goes, "Chris, it's on the internet. They can see." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh," because back then it wasn't.
Yeah.
And so I thought, people are watching me. They're seeing what I'm doing. And that has been the hardest thing, because when I played in the senior U.S. Open, and I'm trying to think where that was, it was 2024, and I was playing really well. And I'd make a birdie, and it would go to me, "Oh, everybody's watching. They're happy." Because when I watch my boys, on, what do you call that? I forget the name of it. But anyway.
Yeah.
So I'd watch, and I'd know I'd get up with the birdie down. And so when I'd have a bogey, I'm just like, "Oh, they're so bummed." And so I thought, "Oh my gosh, Chris, you've got to get over this mentally." So my next time that I knew that it would be, that they'd be able to watch, I really made it in my head, "Oh, that's such a bummer. The internet's down. They can't see it." Oh, so it just helped me overall. But the other thing is I started thinking, you become kind of like a racehorse, and people get to be a part of you, and it is your team. And I thought, oh my gosh, it is kind of neat for them to follow you, and they're only hoping for good things. And so then when I looked at it that way, it's like, gives me more reason to play, to try and bring them a little joy or a little fun to watch. And then also that it's okay that they're watching and they're wishing you the best.
Yeah, it's so cool that you're able to, people are able to keep up with all of that. And, even if you're on the other side of the country, still able to see what's going on.
Yeah, it was amazing.
You've seen golf change a lot. What good have you seen in the change, and where do you see the women's game kind of going?
In what good, in terms of women or the whole game itself?
Let's do women. Let's focus on kind of the women's game.
I would say just that it always, when I first started, it was such a man's sport. I was out there. I was the only girl really out at Flatirons Golf Course. That's where I grew up, and I tagged along with my brother. My dad's like, "Here's the 7-iron, follow along."
Yeah.
And so then started playing and grew up with Janet Moore. Now, it was Janet Ruma. And so that was kind of the first start to see more women starting to play. And I think the greatest excitement is, looking at college golf and seeing the women's ability. They are so good and so strong and everything like that, that I'm always like, if I could win the lottery, I would just endow, the Symetra Tour, just to give them the opportunity to play. So it's just that they're getting so good, and people don't realize just how good they are.
No, and awesome. They can absolutely wax just about anybody. They can hit the ball. Their swings are so pure, and it is so much fun watching the women's game grow into what it is, especially in Colorado with, we've got an Annika event up at Todd Creek. The Colorado Women's Open is a big one. So it's fun seeing Colorado be kind of, on the forefront of the women's game.
And I love the Colorado Open because the prize money that they give, they don't realize it's almost like a lifeline to these players to get, just making the cut to get some money to get out there. There's not enough to keep them, fulfilling their dream. Yeah, which absolutely. I think would be great.
What advice do you have for those players? The ones that are the high schoolers that are coming up, or the junior player, or the, someone on the Annika tour that's grinding, trying to go pro. What advice do you have for them?
I would say celebrate what you do well. Yeah. We're always looking at, what we're not doing well, and trying to pick that apart. I remember Hogan was like, you have enough coaches telling you what you're not doing well. How about what you're doing well? Yeah. And then go ahead and just don't forget the mental. Yeah. Just visualize, what you really want to do and what you see happening, and just follow that and try and stay positive. Yeah.
It is amazing how much your negativity can creep in the game of golf. Yeah. And staying positive, like we were talking about before we went on, it's the 8 inches between your ears that is so important.
Oh, I heard, for the percentages, I don't know. But when you're first learning, it's 95% mental or physical, 5% mental. And then when you know the game, it's 95% mental, 5% that. And it is controlling. And it's not always staying positive. It's just staying focused in that you have a job and you can't be letting it up, down, and judging yourself. It's just like, let's get the job done. Let's prepare. You know, these guys on tour, they have their whole game plan ready. You don't even realize that. And that's another thing for the young golfers coming out is just, which we didn't have, was course management, just learning that. And so I was so fortunate to learn from my father, but even more from my husband. What he has taught me is unbelievable. It's been great.
And your husband's your caddy. Talk about that relationship a little bit.
It's so fun because he wants it for me so badly, and you feel that. And so I have to say, you know, back when I was younger, and I had a really solid game because I was playing day in and day out, and I don't do that as much. And so when I wasn't playing well, I could say, come on, you know, let's get this going. And so I remember we're out there, and he's like, come on, you got to fight. And I'm just like, Brandon, you know, the car's not running well. There's only so much I can step on the gas.
Exactly.
And so it was in one of the qualifying rounds, and oh my gosh. So we're out there, and I'm like, Brent, now just on this, you know, don't tell me to grind. You got this. I said, just be gentle. You know, be my cheerleader. And so I hit this shot. It's just ugly, and I'm like, oh. And he goes, you're pretty. And so I'm like, perfect.
That's exactly it.
So he just made me laugh, and we had a great time. So anytime, let's say it was for the U.S. Open, and you know it's going to San Diego, he's like, who wants to go to San Diego anyway? You know, so it's such great moments, and
that's awesome.
I'm learning to really treasure those.
Yeah, well, and that, you know, the job of a caddy is to do what the player needs, right? And sometimes it's the like motivational thing, and sometimes it's, hey, I really need a joke right now to forget about what's going on, or
he's perfect. He knows just what to give me at the right time,
and that is exactly what you need. All right, as we wrap up, we always kind of finish with favorite courses in Colorado. There's a lot of them out there. Do you have, like, you know, we can do 3, or what are your top your favorite Colorado courses? If someone was coming out, where are you taking them?
Oh my goodness. Castle Pines. Absolutely love that. Thank you, Kathy West, for taking me out there and playing. Also, you know, I know a lot of people have a tough time with it, but Eisenhower.
It's so good.
I love Eisenhower because it's so tricky, and you have to be figuring out the greens and be patient, but it is just a stunning courses. The courses in Colorado Springs, I love.
It is. I was just down at Cheyenne Mountain for Zoo Lights the other day, and was talking to a friend who played Eisenhower earlier, and he said he had 5 4-putts. Normally a good putter, but he had 5 4-putts.
Yeah, it can really demolish you. I think it was Tom Watson that says, I never want to play here again. But I mean, the beauty and everything, and kind of the trickery of the greens, it's still a wonderful place.
So don't take us saying Eisenhower's hard as like, don't go play it, but go play
Just lower your expectations on the greens.
Exactly. Do you have any on your bucket list that you have not gotten to play in Colorado or in the country or the world?
Oh my gosh. Just anywhere to go play with my boys. I would love to take them to Europe just for that experience. So that would be on my bucket list.
Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for talking. It is so much fun seeing what you're doing in the game of golf, and we're excited to see what you do in 2026.
Thank you. I appreciate it.